Hi guys, so today I'm going to teach you how to check your dog's fertility and where they are in their cycle with a simple microscope. You'll need microscope slides and two really long Q-tips. Stay tuned. How's it going? So in this video I'm going to teach you, because I've had a lot of requests for it, how to check your dog's fertility doing cytology slides. Not a lot of breeders do this. In fact, I think I'm the only one that I know of that does it, but I know some of the bigger breeders who have bigger breed dogs do it a lot. I don't know many Dachshund breeders who do it, but it's beneficial if you think outside the box and learn something new. Cytology has helped me so greatly in our program because it takes the guesswork out of, is it time? Is she in heat? Why is she flagging for a week? Why isn't this male interested in her? Why is this? Why is that? Why is this male interested in this girl? Why isn't he interested in that girl? It takes the guesswork out of it. And sometimes, every now and then, dogs get it wrong too. The males will want to breed with a female that ain't even in season, or a male will totally bypass a female that is clearly fertile. So I hope this helps at least just one person. And I will put the links in the descriptions for all the supplies and microscope that I use if you want to check them out and buy them, and also links to websites where you can learn more information about doing your own cytology slides. And I hope this really helps. And I also just found out, anybody who's watched our double breeder Q&A, my breeder friend Beth from Heart and Soul Mini Doxies of Lexington, Virginia, found out on Monday that her Oakley is expecting with our Marvin. So
I'm not going to say that. Say baby cream dachshund.
Oh my goodness.
Baby cream dachshund. So here we have Oakley. So you know we have the right specimen.
Right patient.
Yep. There's one baby. See that barely flutter of a heartbeat in there. And there's another one that comes in, well, was coming in over here. There it is.
Yep. There.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
So we know there's two.
So you only see two?
Well, there might be more. So I think there's probably another one down here. I can't see this one, but this part of the uterus is really dilated, and I think it might be right there against the wall. But it's so little at this stage. So the ultrasound is difficult to really be able to count because the uterus folds, on itself a lot. But it looks like I can kind of see three vesicles or sacs. 3 individual sacs. So I would say that there's probably at least 3 in there. It's hard to say specifically.
Oh my goodness.
One's a female, one's got long hair. One's a female, she's got long hair. Her name's Carly.
I'm confused.
There we go.
Christina wishing.
Oh my goodness, look.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In the babies.
Yeah. You see it
Oh
now?
my goodness. That's a big baby.
She has it,
Compared to that third one, that's really big.
I just blew up the screen.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness.
Here, we can measure it. You want to see how big it is right now?
I've never seen them on ultrasound before. I got
Do you want her to measure
Watch,
it?
We'll measure it. I'll tell you how big it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for curiosity. Oh my gosh.
This is ridiculous. It is 0.5 centimeter in diameter, 0.4 millimeters.
0.4 millimeters?
Yeah. Or sorry, 0.4 centimeters. So it's just under 0.5 centimeter. So that's 5 millimeters. Wait, yeah, 10 millimeters in a centimeter, 5 millimeters.
I'm going to put a little bit of a video to that, and then you guys can watch that. And we're really excited about it. I'm really excited for Beth and everybody who's going to receive Oakley's puppies. They're going to be beautiful, I have no doubt. On Monday, she was just about 3 weeks. They were very tiny. I think the vet had said on the video they were 5 millimeters long, which is like the 3-week mark, like just barely the 3-week mark, because I do ultrasounds too. So we're really excited about it, and I wish Beth and everybody, all the recipients who get her Oakley's puppies, all the best of luck. And here's that video. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is try to lay them on their back or semi-upright. It doesn't matter. You're gonna take these, and no, do not use a cotton swab that is supposed to go in your ear. Go on Amazon or your veterinarian supply store and buy the correct ones. The link form will be in the description. Faulkner, back up. You're gonna wanna split the vulva a little bit. Do not put it towards, hold on. Do not put it towards the front. This is where they pee. This is their urethra. Excuse me. Excuse me. This up front here is their urethra. You do not want to stick this in their urethra. You're going to spread you're going to want to get it as far back as possible. Back towards their butt and then forward. And once you're in there, Faulkner, stop. Welcome to breeding week, folks. You're going to want to twirl it around. Some girls that are brand new to this and they never had a litter before or never been bred sometimes won't tolerate this, but Livy is a champ and she's a veteran, so she's tolerating it. You're gonna want it to look like this when it comes out. Alright, can you hold it? Oh shit. Alright, so once you have your slide, you are going to want to do this. Roll it. Don't do this. Roll it. Roll it. And get all those cells on there. Okay? Once you're done, discard this, and then you put this under the microscope. Alright guys, this is what you'll see under the microscope when you do a cytology slide of your dog's vaginal cells. So there's 2 types of cells. There is cornified cells and there's non-cornified cells. Let me just tell you the difference between the 2. So cornified cells are basically cells in the middle of estrus, particularly in the fertile phase of your dog's cycle. Once you start seeing these cells, your dog, if you're monitoring the cells from, day 7 to day 14, you're going to see a shift in the way the cells look. From day 6 to day 14, you're going to start to see, I like to call it the, upside, sunny side up egg look to no nucleus at all, and you're going to have rigid cornflake looking cells. So right here is what I like to call cornified cells. These are cornified cells all day long. So how do you know they're cornified? Well, one of the ways you can tell they're cornified is see the sharp jagged edges. You can see that in 90% of the cells. Let me show you a little bit here. Okay. So when you kind of scroll through, you can see that a lot of the cells are missing nucleuses. You don't see any big round center. Some of them are starting to come back. Like this one right here has a little bit of one starting to come back. But I would say about 90% of them are jagged. Okay. Now, this is a female that is probably on day 12 of her cycle. Okay, so on day 12 of the cycle, especially with this particular female, she probably already ovulated. And the reason I can tell that is because right here, you can see it in more than one spot. They're starting to clump together. The cells are starting to clump together. And right here, the nucleuses are starting to come back, and it's starting to become non-cornified cell. So eventually, this cell here will turn completely round with a big, huge nucleus in the center. And as you can see, it's just starting to do that. This is a dog that has obviously ovulated. Or has had a progesterone shift. So, you know, this gives us a lot of information because dogs tend to flag way even after they've conceived. I've seen dogs, you know, flag and be receptive a week after they've conceived. And it always like strikes the owner like off because it's like, well, she's still flagging. That means she's still fertile. Not always. You know, and male dogs can be a good indicator of, you know, if they're no longer interested, but some males get it wrong sometimes. But the cytology is going to give you a better generalized idea of where she's at. And I can tell from her cytology right now, where she's at is she's probably ovulated. Her nucleuses are starting to come back. The cells are still cornified technically, but they're starting to turn into superficial. They're starting to turn into non-cornified cells. So this is a good, she's been breeding now for 5 days. I would say this is a pretty good indication that she's probably ovulated and she's probably got progesterone now high on board. So this tells you a lot of good information, and plus she's still flagging like crazy. There's two perfect, there's two cells right there. There's a nucleus, there's a nucleus. They're starting to change back. So these are examples of cornified cells about to turn non-cornified. Like she's at the end of, she's about to like stop. She's not fertile anymore. I mean, if she was, I'd be very surprised, but, yeah, she's rounding the end of her fertile peak. And as you can see in some of her sample here, see how they start clustering together? This is also a sign that progesterone is starting to rise, and this is usually the result. Because when progesterone rises in a dog, so does their temperature shift a little bit. That's actually what brings on labor. When the progesterone drops and the temperature drops is what brings on the onset of labor. That's why a lot of breeders take the temperature of their dogs. There's a bunch of cells changing over. There's a nucleus, there's a nucleus, there's a nucleus, there's a nucleus. Now some breeders some breeders that do cytology slides, they'll actually dye their slides, but I've been doing this for so long that I know what I'm looking for without dyeing them. Some people, dip them in iodine, different colored iodines, and do a colored slide, but you can see exactly what, without even looking, even dipping your slide. Yeah, with all the clumps and with all the nucleuses starting to come back, I would say with a fair degree of certainty that this dog is rounding the end of her fertile phase. Now let me show you the 4 types of cells that you'd be looking for if you're looking under a slide to see where your dog is at in their cycle. All right, I will put the link to this. Yeah, we know you can't update. I'll put the link for this website in the description box of this video if you're interested in going on and reading more about this. So this here just tells you about how to do the vaginal slide, the vaginal swab. And yes, it goes pretty much all the way up to almost their cervix because you want to get a really good sample. And like I said, I think it works best when you twirl it. Here's a little more instruction on how to roll it on your slide, as I showed in the beginning of this video. There's the 3 kinds of dyes that you can use. I don't use the dyes. I can see perfectly well without them. But that is the proper way to do it if you want to do it. So cornified, non-cornified. So see how I said those cells there were cornified? And then these here are non-cornified cells. This basically looks like a huge omelet with a huge yolk, okay? So this is basically when they're either starting to come in or out of fertility, and this is when they're not fertile at all. All right. Let me see what else we got on this website I can show you. Come on. All right. Here's more examples of cornified and non-cornified cells. This is basically like anytime your dog is not in heat at all. This is what the cells are going to look like if you do a vaginal slide. This is right here what you're going to be looking for when your dog is basically ready to breed. An nuclear cell is basically let's breed and let's breed now. This is usually what they look like just before the nucleus completely goes away. And then this is pretty much get on her now, because these things can change up to 10% a day, in shape and size. Usually when they start looking like this, when they start looking like this, you're probably within 3 to 4 days of ovulation. When they start looking like this, you're probably within 24 hours of ovulation, in my personal experience. So these here, if you get to learn your slides and you do your homework and learn something new, these will tell you a high percentage of the time where your girl is at in her heat if you're monitoring them from about day 6 on. If you monitor her mid-cycle, you really don't know what stage she's in. You don't know if she's at the end of her stage and they're just starting to turn, or she's in the beginning of the stage and they're just starting to turn to the fertile stage. So there's a bunch of stuff that you got to study up on. So, and like I said, you have to start this in the very beginning. You can't just start it mid-cycle and, you have to, this is a process that you do through like the whole 6 to 14 days, I would say. And if you have a late ovulator, 6 to 18 days. Here's some more good analysis. Here's anonuclear, superficial, intermediate, and parabasal. So this one here is basically in the very beginning of your heat when they just start bleeding. Okay, this is about maybe 5 days into it, maybe 4 to 5 days into it. It's just starting to change. The nucleus is just starting to get small. And then this is probably about, like I said, 3 to 4 days before ovulation. It's the outside starts to get jagged. The inside starts to get really small. The nucleus starts to get really small. This is still considered a cornified cell, like I showed you on the slide from my dog. But it's starting to change. Now this can start to change just before fertility or just after fertility. So that's why you have to monitor to make sure what point in fertility are you doing. If you do these cytology slides throughout, like I said, throughout day 6 to day 14, you're going to get an idea when the cells are starting to change and know when breeding should end. And then when you get to this cell right here, breed all day long. That's just a green flag to go. And if you don't, you might miss her. Once you get cells that look like this with no nucleus, and then they start to change to this, like my dog is changing right now, you know with a pretty good degree of certainty that she's probably ovulated, progesterone's on board, and it's going to start to change to this and then back to that. So, like I said, if you do your homework and learn the different shapes of these cells, get yourself good microscope, get yourself good equipment, you'll be able to tell what phase that your dog is in without trying to guess all the time. Here's the 4 phases of cornified and non-cornified cells, and it pretty much like this. Beginning of heat, about 4 days into heat. This one's probably about just about there, like maybe 3 days before ovulation. And this is basically, you better get on her because she's going to ovulate soon, if not today. Okay, when they lose all their nucleus and they're not jagged anymore, this is the cell that it wants to look like. And then once they ovulate and progesterone becomes higher, they start to go backwards. They start to look like this again. They start to look like this. And then finally at the end of estrus, it looks like this. It's really that easy, guys. And if you study and do your homework on stuff, and this website here tells you more about estrus, the clumping of the cells right here. This will tell you, like, this estrus. This is after estrus. This is the first day of what they look like. I like to think that they look like sunny side up eggs. That's how I refer them to. But when you do the dye, you can see more clarification on the cells. I've just been doing this so long that I don't really use dye anymore, and I just look at them as is. You can see the nucleuses without the dye. Honestly, you really can. as you can see from, now let's go back to my video here. Now here's hers. Like I said, these are still cornified cells, but the nucleuses are starting to come back, and you can see the nucleuses. The only thing the dye really does is when I went to college and I was taking up cytology, the only thing the dye does is really define this inner circle and the outer circles and some of the inner cells. But like I said, when you do this for so long, it just becomes, I know what I'm looking at kind of thing. I mean, the proper way to do it is to dye them. See how they're clumping right here? But yeah, they're definitely cornified cells, but they're starting to come down in their look. And they're starting to grow, you know, the nucleuses are starting to come back. Right there is a very good one right there. So, let me take a slide of another dog who's like in her fertile phase, like a couple days behind this girl, and let me show you the difference. All right, here's the clean slide. And like I said, the links for all of these will be on the description box of this video. And then you're just gonna slide it. Slide it. And like I said, if you want to learn how to dye your slides, do it, if that's what you want to do. I did enough of that in school, so I don't really do it. But you can if you want to do it that way. All right, so you got that slide on. You kind of want to push it and roll it. Don't ever do this, okay? All right, so let's look at that under the microscope. Mabel is one of those dogs that her cells don't come off of her vaginal wall very well. I've had problems with her in the past where she's fertile and I can't tell, because sometimes you'll get a dog like that where you can't tell if they're fertile or not, and they're just not expelling those cells very well. So let's see how this goes. All right, and it's just as I told you, Mabel does this to me every time. She tends to not expel her cornified cells off of the vaginal wall. Like I could like scrape her all I want, and just, she doesn't have many of them. But there's a lot of debris here. There's some red blood cells. That's the circled parts. But this here is a cornified cell without a nucleus. So it has clear, defined, sharp edges, no nuclear middle. Let me see if I can find any others. A lot of it's just debris. Up here, let me move the slide around. Right there looks like to be a cornified cell, no nucleus. Okay. That looks like it could be a cornified cell. And as you can see, you see a lot less nucleuses in this one. There's a cornified cell. It looks like it has a tiny little nucleus, but not much. That's a cornified cell. What else do we got here? This looks like a mixture of other kind of cells. Some of this is debris, like this is debris. Here's a cornified cell, small one. So out of all this, as you're looking through the cells, here's a cornified cell. As you're looking through the cells and you see no nucleuses, it's go time. There's a cornified cell. Now, where you would dye these, if you chose to dye these, you'd be able to see these more clear. But I can see them without dyeing them. See this here, if you dyed it, this would come out like purple, light hue purple, and the inside of it would be more defined. But I can see that even from all the way back here, just because I've been doing it for so long. That's why I don't dye my slides. Nothing's wrong with dyeing your slides. If you're a beginner and you're just starting out, there's a cornified cell. It'll help you, but after you get used to it for so long, another cornified cell. So you won't need to dye anymore, or at least, you know, that's what I do anyway. It's just my personal preference. So they're all pretty much not clumped together. You don't want to see any clumping together. You want to see spaces in between them. They're pretty free floating. They're not like really clumped together like the other slide I showed you with Livia. And this is just a matter of 4 days difference. They're only 4 days apart in their cycles. So you can go from this to where you were seeing them all bunched together and starting to grow back their nucleuses like Livia as the slide from before. So this dog is ready to breed. Like she is breeding. She bred yesterday. She's breeding today again. So she's either has just ovulated or she's about to. That's what this pretty much says to me. And I've been doing this now, the cytology slides for breeding, because I do a lot of AI. I've been doing the cytology slides for probably a good 5 years, 5-6 years. And if you school yourself and learn something new and look outside of the box, you might miss less females, and you might have more success because you're not just relying on what your dogs are telling you. And that way you're not also, another good thing is you're not overtaxing your male. So when you have, some breeders will just breed a dog for a week and just hope they hit the fertile peak. Here's a superficial cell. But if you do that, what happens is if you have more than one female in heat, which sometimes happens, females will throw other females in heat all the time, then you got a male needing to breed with 2 females, especially if you want those 2 females to breed with that one male, and now you're taxing him out sperm count wise. And you can tax out a male in a short period of time, sperm wise. So then your success rates might go down. So wouldn't it be so great if you could pinpoint when it was time to breed, as opposed to a female that just wants to flag for a week and suck up all your male sperm for no reason, and she's already conceived. I've seen that tons of times. So this is a really good way of doing it. Like I said, I've been doing it for about 5-6 years now. Get yourself a good microscope. Get yourself some supplies, some slides, some doctor grade. I'm drawing a blank here. What the heck? Doctor grade Q-tips. And like I said, the supplies for everything you'll need for this is in the description box. And pretty much everything I showed you on this video is pretty much all you do. The hardest part about this whole deal isn't getting the slides, isn't even sticking the swab up your dog's vagina. The hardest part is identifying what cells are superficial and which cells are cornified and which ones aren't. There's another one. You could barely see it. There's another one. There's another one. And the funny part about this slide is, this is from our Mabel. She's not flagging at all. She's flagging here and there, but it's not like a strong flag. And breeders know what I mean by a strong flag. Like every time someone touches her, she flags. So the slides are saying she's relatively close to fertility, but she's not showing any outward signs. And some dogs do that. And she's not a new mom either. So she's had 2 litters. So she's an experienced mom, but this is a clear example of, I got a fertile female. The boys aren't even after her. They're after the girl that's already been breeding for 5 days, that her cells are already turning, her nucleuses are already growing back. So, as a breeder who doesn't do cytology, you would think to yourself, well, she probably needs it because she's flagging more. The other girl probably isn't ready yet. Wrong. That's how you miss females. So that's a little thing for you guys. I hope you really study more about it and try to better your breeding programs. But this is an excellent way to do it, and to increase your education on all kinds of stuff that you didn't even know about. So I hope this, if this helps at least one person, my job is complete. So if you have any questions or want me to elaborate on anything I just said, post it in the comment section. This here, what I'm using is basically a microscope camera. That way I don't, have to go into this little tiny lens to try to show you what I'm looking at under the microscope. And it can hook up to any computer. I do think that it is Apple compatible if you are an Apple person. This is just a Windows PC. So yeah, all the links for this stuff will be in the description box, and happy breeding. Now guys, I want to show you a clear example of what I mean by sometimes the boys can be clueless. Here's our Marvin. He acknowledges her, but he's not as interested in her as he was the girl that was is starting to come out of her estrus. So, like, he's like not interested in her at all. And she's the one we just did a cytology slide on where her cells were prime. So, this is like a clear example of what I mean by, like, now she's in prime. She should be bred today. And my male, no clue whatsoever. Well, he does have a clue, but he's not interested. This is sometimes where you can miss females because the male isn't getting the clues. Our Marvin usually gets the girls and lets us know about a month before they go into season that they're gonna. However, with so many girls in season right now, I think what's happening is he's getting confused. And one girl smells really good to him, and another girl is transferring her scent to another girl, so he really doesn't even know who to go to at this point. So, ooh, what is that? Looks like I bought into a flip-flop. But this is a clear example of what I mean. Like, he's not interested in breeding at all. I mean, he acknowledges her, but it's like, whatever, kind of. She's not even really, as you can see, she's not even really flagging that much. Like, she's interested, she's not. But according to her cells, she's ready. So, I just want to make you guys aware that just because they're flagging, or the lack of flagging, doesn't, like, indicate fertility at all. It's just a guideline, guys. Say hi, Mabel and Marvin. All right, on to the good stuff. So, I figure, what better way to end a cytology video and instruction, and then to end it with an insemination. Sound good? So, I've already collected my male. One of the reasons I don't want to show you how to collect a male on my videos is because I know there's a lot of kids who watch my videos. And I just feel like that's more not G-rated. There's plenty of videos online where you can see how to collect a male dog. Mine isn't going to, break the internet by, posting one more. So if you want to know how to collect a male, there's plenty of YouTube videos online to teach you how to do so. I just don't want to do it here on this channel because I do know there's kids that watch my channel and I just feel weird about it. So if you want to know that, Google it. But I've already collected my male. One of the things I usually do, this was actually suggested from my breeder friend Beth. Thank you, Beth. These here are baby bottle sleeves, basically for a Playtex baby bottle. These work amazing for collecting your mail, and they're very inexpensive, and you can get them at any supermarket or Walmart or Target or online on Amazon, wherever. You can buy these all day long from almost any store. These are great. Pretty much collect, catch, throw away. It's really simple, and it's clean. There's no cup you gotta sterilize or anything like that. These work great. Almost like huge condoms with a rim on it. And the rims are kind of flexible. So I use baby bottle liners, and I've loved them ever since Beth showed me. So I'm a baby bottle liner collector person now. So there's a tip for you if you do AIs. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be doing an artificial insemination with Mabel. All her pregnancies have been AI, mainly because of what I said in the previous segment, where she doesn't normally show that she's in heat. She shows it externally. She's bleeding, she's swollen, all that kind of stuff, but she doesn't show it in her action. She doesn't flag. Very rarely does she flag. So she's very laid back. She doesn't ever growl at the males or show that she's not interested, but she's not a huge flagger. And I'm not really one for holding them, and making them breed when they don't want to. So I think AI is a less traumatic, experience for her, because when we do an AI, I could just lay her on my, lap, I insert the catheter, I inject the semen, and then we lay there and possibly fall asleep for 20 minutes while watching TV. It's a less invasive procedure than having a male grab her ears, grab her neck, grab her tail, maybe hump her head, and then her getting aggravated with the entire process when she doesn't even really want to stand for him in the first place. So this has been my experience with her. You might have a you might have a female that does the same thing, and some dogs are like this. Most aren't, but some dogs you will occasionally, if you're doing this for a long period of time, you're going to come across a female who doesn't want to stand, and she's fertile. And that's why I say don't let their actions determine your path of where you're going to go or when you're going to start breeding, because their instincts can be off and have been off. So right now, I do this with all my AIs and all my breeding males when it's breeding season, which it's breeding week. So I always check semen quality to make sure that I'm not just injecting seminal fluid, okay? Now, some people just collect it and inject it. Why? How do you know you're even injecting good stuff? There's males that will inject maybe 9 mLs of seminal fluid, not a damn sperm in it at all. It's just completely clear. Don't think so? Did you miss 1 or 2 females and you thought it was the female's problem? It could be your male. And males can become subfertile all the time. Subfertile means they're fertile one time, have a great sperm count, next minute it's kind of iffy, and then the next minute they have an infection or have a urinary tract infection or something's off with them and they are not producing any sperm at all. You can have a dog that's not producing any sperm, and in the next minute, in a week or two, he could be producing sperm, or at least coming out in his seminal fluid. So I always check, and I'll show you a little bit of that process. I'm doing this completely solo today. I don't have no cameraman, so bear with me here. You're going to want to have at least 2 sterile syringes, or you can just get one big 10 ml syringe. But I'm all out of 10 ml syringes, so all we have is these 2 3 mLs. And then we have his sample. We already put if you are to check it under the microscope, I would highly suggest a little pipette. And when you go in to get your sample, I'll show you how much you need. All you need is like this much, okay? That's like a drop, all right? You don't need a whole pipette of semen. You're gonna waste it. And then you're gonna put 1 drop on your slide like we did right there. And I'll show you the results of that in a minute. But right now I am more focused on getting the semen, the sperm, out of the sleeve so we can keep it warm, because that's another thing. You don't want semen to get too cold. They can start to die. So once you collect it, get it in your whatever you're going to inject it with, and then make sure you keep it warm. What I do is, since I'm going to be checking sperm quality first, what I do is I will cap them off. So I'll get little caps. You can get these on revivalanimalhealth.com, by the way. They're called Syringe Caps, okay? That way I don't accidentally plunge all the stuff out and all the hard work goes for nothing, okay? So while that's doing that, what I'll usually do is I'll stick them in my bra, okay? And that keeps them warm. It keeps them at body temperature. Now that's a little lower than what a dog's body temperature is, but it's still warm, and you want to keep them warm. So while you're doing, usually my husband's here when we do this, but I'm trying to do these during the day. So he's usually the one keeping my semen warm, but I'm solo today. So here we go. All right, now we're gonna show you, hopefully it works here. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. There we go. So that is a sperm, that's Marvin's guys, his troops. All right, now, what are you looking at? Well, you're going to want to look for semen quality here. You got one here. I don't know if you've seen it. It kind of went out of the film. Got 2 heads. You got some that are actually dead that are just swimming in circles. And then you have real good ones here, like, let me see here. You got this one here that's moving forward. You want to see for forward progression, like this guy down here. See how this guy's moving forward? He's on a mission. This guy here is aimlessly. This one's abnormal. This guy here is normal. Okay, that guy is abnormal. And in every semen sample, you are going to have sperm that are abnormal. There is nothing wrong with that. Even in humans, there's abnormal sperm in every sample. Let me blow this up a little bit here. Let's do 550. Just a screen. 200. There we go. Now, if I go back to the smaller one, you can get a better picture of the overall, there we go, the overall quality of the sperm in general. So, in general, that is a very good sperm count. If you can see at least 10 to 15 sperm in every, like, maybe 1 by 1 block, or even, you know, more than that, you're good. This is a very healthy sperm count right here. I've been giving my males Oxy Stud. It's basically a prenatal vitamin for males to help their sperm count. Right here, this is a piece of debris that's floating around that the sperm keep hitting themselves into. That's why it's moving. Here's another piece of debris that keeps moving because the sperm are hitting on it. Like I said, these sperm are like out to seek an egg, so they will try to come in contact and try to seek anything. That's what's moving over here. They're after that. So when you're doing a semen analysis, you are going to want to look for something like this. Now, if you have a semen, you're looking at your dog's semen, and all you see is a bunch of sperm going in circles or two-headed sperm, and you don't see any forward progression, and for some reason that male keeps missing your females, then you are going to want to seek the advice of a reproductive veterinarian, because there could be something wrong with your male. It could be something as simple as an infection, a urinary tract infection, a prostate infection. So the male is just as important to make sure that they're healthy as the female is. You want to see at least 50% of them alive, if not more. For a male to be at least fertile, to be able to achieve a pregnancy. These little things here moving, these big blobs, are just debris that the sperm are falling into and pushing around the screen. Here's another piece of debris. It might be a cell of some sort. There's another piece of debris that they're moving around. Those aren't actually anything in particular. They're just debris that they keep running into. Here's another big piece of debris. So this is what you're going to want to see in a healthy, fertile male. If you see any less than this, I would definitely, or if you see like a lot of sperm going around in circles, or not, there's no forward progression or a lack of sperm, or if you put semen on the slide and you see no activity at all, that means there's no sperm in the ejaculate, you need to seek the advice of a reproductive veterinarian, because it's not just a thing for females that have to be taken care of. Males need to be taken care of too. So males can get a prostate infection. Males can have a whole bunch of things going on with them. So they need care too. You know, both before a litter and after a litter. Because if you want to keep your breeding male, you want to keep him healthy for the long run. Couple things you want to do for your insemination is you want a catheter, sterile catheter preferably. Let me reiterate that. Sterile catheter is a must, okay? You're going to want to get some lube. General lube is fine. I used to use Fertility, which is basically a fertility-friendly lube, but I've done several inseminations with this. You can get it at Tractor Supply. It's just as good. Fertility is a little expensive. It's like $40 a tube. You can get it at CVS or Rite Aid. It's actually in the aisle where the pregnancy tests are. It's basically a sperm-friendly lube. But this is general lube. They use this for inseminating horses and cows, and I've had success with it, so this hasn't been an issue. And all you do is use this on your catheter. You don't use this for any other purpose, just to make it more comfortable for the female. You're also going to want gloves. All right, Mabel here is my 3-year-old EE cream, English cream female. She's had 2 litters before. She had a litter of 2, and then she had a litter of 3. Her first time she had a litter of 2 before. Her last litter was about 1.5 years ago-ish. Her last breeding, we didn't breed. We bred her, but she didn't take, which is fine. And this is going to be her, hopefully, 3rd litter. We'll see. She just turned 3 in August. So, say hi, Mabel. She's the sweetheart. She's a hidden dapple. You can see her blue eye. And as you can see, I'm not holding her. She's laying like this. She's used to it. Say baby. Yeah. She knows the routine. It's almost like she knows if she it's almost like she knows if she doesn't mate with the males, she knows she's getting it this way anyway. So like I said, I'm not holding her. This is her thing. Let's get started. All right. I don't have any cameraman today, so excuse the kind of lopsidedness of my camera. My apologies. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to glove up. Usually I use the same hand I'm dominant in, so to do the catheter, and I use the opposite hand that I'm not dominant in to use to inseminate a female. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to put a generous amount and semi-generous amount of lube on your fingers, kind of like that, okay? Because I found the best success rate for my girls is when you put one finger in their vagina and then slip the catheter up behind it, because it almost simulates a tie. So when you have your finger in their vagina and then you slip the catheter behind it up underneath, what happens is they feel like they're tied, and they start to actually contract down on your finger. It's basically like, some people call it a dog orgasm, but it's basically their body pulling the sperm into their reproductive tract. And I just found more success with it this way than any other way. And got the guys. So let's get started. Now you get your catheter. Do not pull your catheter out. These are sterile. If you get sterile catheters, please get sterile catheters. You don't want to give your dog pyometria or some type of infection. Please use sterile catheters. You don't want to take this out of your container until you're ready to inseminate, so that way you're not contaminating anything. And if I could get this 2 things separated, it would be great. All right, you got your catheter. You want to take the cap off one of your syringes. And this is just the way I do it. You can do it any other way you want, but this is what I do. So take it or leave it. All right, what I do is any lube on my fingers, I take and lube up my syringe and catheter. Sometimes I'll just stick it in the bottle. It is sterile, by the way, so. And lube it up a little bit. You don't want a lot of lube on your syringe, okay? Just enough where you can see the glossiness of the oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Glossiness on the tube. You don't want it caked in lube, okay? And then once you lube it, you can put it back in here until you're ready. And then I usually do one of these and hold this until I'm ready to inseminate. So let's do this. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to insert a finger. I usually do palm up. Okay. All right. Now that's going to simulate a tie. All right. Next, you're going to do, take your catheter out of your sleeve. And then you don't go towards the front, because the front is where her urethra is. You do not want to get this in her urethra. So you want to go through the back. And first prime your syringe. So get your semen all the way to the tip. Like that. Okay. Can you see that? There you go. Get your semen all the way to the tip and go back here. Hold on. Over tail. She's actually flagging now that I have my fingers in her vagina. You want to go back here and put it back here. You're not going to hit anything if you insert it behind your finger. And then when you put it in, you'll actually feel it go through the one sphincter part of her vagina where it's really closed. You'll actually feel it pop through. And then I usually go about 3/4 in. All right. And now I know it's through to her, it's not in her cervix, it's at the front of her cervix. We're doing an inner cervical semination. We're not doing a uterine insemination. So then you want to do it slowly. Make sure you don't get no bubbles. This is why doing a bigger syringe is probably better. That way you only have to do one syringe, but I don't have any bigger syringes. I'm out. So you want to do another syringe. If all you have is little ones, kink it off, pinch it off like a garden hose so it doesn't come back out. And then pull the catheter off. And make sure you have clean hands for this. Put the other one on and inseminate the rest of it. And nobody's holding her, by the way. She's used to this. And when they're prime, they will just lay here. So I kink it off again, and then I put a little bit of air behind it. And how I put air behind it is I put maybe like 1 ml, 2 mLs of air, put it back on there, and then push the rest of the semen through. And then I usually wait a couple seconds. That way I get all the semen out of the catheter. We are not wasting any sperm here. And then once that's in, she's starting to clamp down on my fingers. I don't know if you can see that. And then you slowly pull it out. Okay, see how the catheter is basically empty. That's what you want to see. Now this whole thing, some people watch this. Do not watch these. Throw these away, okay? Unless you want your dog to get some kind of uterine infection, throw it away, people. Some people do reuse the syringes, and as long as you wash them out really good, preferably in hot water, it's fine. But do not, under any circumstances, reuse your catheters. There's no way to clean them properly. What you should be doing is just using clean syringes each time, if you can. So that's basically it. So we're just going to keep our finger in there. We're going to simulate a tie, which she actually probably thinks at this point she's tied because she is not resisting at all. And she's clamping down on my fingers. We're going to sit like this for at least 10 to 20 minutes. And then once the 10 and 20 minutes is over, I'll slowly remove my finger. And then what we'll do is we will put her in a crate for the rest of it, like maybe 4 or 5 hours so she can rest. And then she can come out like normal and do her peeing, pooping, playing, and normal dog stuff. But you definitely want to rest them after you do an insemination. I'm good, Faith. Thank you. My lovely assistant, Faith, is my camera lady. Say hi, Faith.
Hi.
So she has seen these inseminations since, what, you were 7 years old? Yeah, 5 to 7 years old. The one time we had puppies, I think it was the very first or the very second time we ever had puppies, she comes in the room and she says, "Mom, our dog's pooping puppies." She had no idea what was going on yet, but she's going to be 15 in October, so she's come a long way, haven't you?
Yep.
So she knows where puppies come from now, and she knows they don't get pooped out. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sit here for about 20 minutes, and then I think Mabel's going to take a snooze. And like I said, nobody's holding her. That's another reason how you know that they're fertile. She's ready, and she's got her leg. This is how she does, and some dogs do this. And you got to be aware of that as well. And you just got to adapt. She's lounging. All she needs now is a martini. Okay guys, well that concludes this video. It's probably the longest I've ever made, but I felt there was a lot of stuff that needed to be covered in this video, and step by step of, you know, how to do cytology slides, how to check your dog's sperm count, and all that good stuff. There's a lot of things that needed to be said, and I said it. So now all my techniques for artificial insemination stuff might be a little different than the next person, but this is just what I do, and just because somebody else might do it differently or that person might do it differently than them doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. It's just my style. Some people do artificial insemination with their dog standing up or in some kind of like device-made homemade contraption or something of that magnitude. I don't do that. I feel like the dogs should be comfortable, either laying in our lap, on our bed, or, you know, on the recliner. That's just how I do it. So if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. Maybe we'll do a Q&A on it. But if this helped just one person with their breeding program and to expand their knowledge, how to make their breeding program better, then I've exceeded my expectations with this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe. That lets YouTube know that we're good people. And stay tuned for more of our educational videos, vlogs, and just Q&As in general. So thank you for subscribing. Like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. Bye, guys.